What if manifestation was never about changing reality? What if it was just about understanding the state from which to view that reality? Because it seems like the same situations, same circumstances can be viewed totally different by different nervous systems, by different identities. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to our Quantum Talks series. I am so excited to actually have this series with you guys and explore fantastic subjects. Today, we will actually dig deep on this your nervous system is rendering reality subject. We will answer on the questions: what if manifestation has been misunderstood entirely, and what if the nervous system is not simply reacting to reality but participating in the way reality is perceived? Because nervous systems literally act as a magnet that magnetize all the experiences and people and circumstances to our real field, to our reality. Either you want it or not, your nervous system plays a major role. It's like it's exactly like a magnet. It works like a magnet. So it's very important to study the subjects of nervous system and how to befriend it so that we can easily manifest the life that we desire. All right. So the observation: most people are taught to approach manifestation through the mind alone, through affirmations, visualizations, mental repetitions, trying to act as if. I'm sure you've been there because I definitely been there. I tried it all. But what happens when the mind says I am, while the body still anticipates a danger around that? Can a dysregulated nervous system truly perceive reality the same way as a regulated one? You see that sometimes perhaps your friend or your family member manifests with eagerness, with ease, or rather totally different when you are the one who manifests with eagerness and ease and you observe other people literally struggle. Why is that? Because nervous systems are totally different. There is no one technique, there is no one understanding, there is no one size that fits all within manifestation. You adopt the teachings and then reinterpret based on your nervous system's capacity. Okay? So, the big problem: many people experience an internal conflict without fully even realizing it. They try to think positively, convince themselves that abundance, love, or safety already exists. But internally, the body may still carry tension, hypervigilance, fear of rejection, fear of loss, or emotional uncertainty. So there becomes a split between thought and embodied experience. And I want you to know that thought and embodied experience is totally different. You can convince your mind, you can enter the state, you can view the world from that state, an emotional way, through the mind, through your mental body. But if your body rejects that state, ain't gonna come in the way that you want it to. You will keep repeating the same patterns that are actually anchored in your nervous system. Mind can understand, but the body must actually agree with that. So how do you agree with that? You, bit by bit, you try dismantling the patterns that been dragging you down. I will go deeper on this subject because really this is a fascinating subject, and perhaps you will be presented with another lens how to view the manifestation subject altogether. Again, some people, they're not really failing at manifestations. They are doing everything correctly, but their body is still kind of operating from the old mode, from survival, from fear of rejection, from self-sacrifice, from whatever you guys have experienced in your life that actually gave you those residual patterns to work on. And for me, it's really interesting because I can relate to it. I've been noticing myself in certain situations when I acted just because my body reacted in the way of being too polite or too kind of leaning, not believing in deservability. So yes, it can happen even if your mind rejects that. So you teach your body react differently by simply practicing this incoherence of what you previously knew to be true about yourself. Reality may not be perceived as objectively as we assume. Here, voila, perfect. Reality may not be perceived as objectively as we assume. I am sure most of you guys, you have heard the fact that we are living in a simulated world, that the world is actually a sort of a hologram. It's like a game. Some people call it a matrix. Some people call it just a reality even, right? But it's not. It's just the field that arranges everything based on your participation and your perception. Okay, so why? The same text message can feel like rejection in one state and neutrality in another. Here it is. So reality might not be perceived as objective as we assume. So the same message for you might not be read as same as for like the other person. So the same financial situation can feel like possibility, and for someone it may be perceived as survival. So the same social interaction can feel safe. For others, it can be threatening. And the same desire can feel exciting. For some, emotionally dangerous. So you see how perspective plays actually. So reality becomes more responsive when attachment softens into curiosity. And this is very, very important. Reality becomes more responsive when attachment softens into curiosity. So yes, I think many people actually recognize this feeling. They try to think positively. They try to affirm, they try to believe, they try to trust the process and convince themselves, but at the same time their body may still be rejecting that truth. It feels condensed, it feels unresolving, it feels even pulling back. So the body actually leads in these terms, not the mind, but the body. Dr. Joseph Murphy, he even said that the solar plexus, right, is your mind alone, because every chakra, every point of your body actually is a mind on its own. So here's a thought, I remember myself being all into deep visualizations, deep meditations, like 5 meditations a day, and I mean it. Affirmations, also doing sports, doing anything, everything that felt congruent with my inner vision. I was convinced internally, and I swear I was living in that state. I viewed the world from that state. Yet I actually accidentally, at the time I was manifesting income streams, capacity, career development. So I actually ended up in a situation when I was working for free. Exactly. At that time, I was so deep into manifestations. What happened? Something happened. My pattern of survival, of urgency, of over-proving, over-delivering in the places that do not meet. So it was like proving. It was asking for recognition. It was, hey, I have a I have a solution, so let me join you guys. And eventually I exhausted my time, my energy, my even money, because there was no reciprocity whatsoever. It was just talk, blah blah, but the job was done. The presentations, everything was done. Brochures, everything was done. Meetings were already done. And I'm not saying it to blame the other party again. Everyone plays its own role. Everyone finds its own actor, its own coherent and congruent person or situation. So it makes sense to actually go deep into these subjects of the patterns that are being stored and stuck in your body, unless you see what have happened in the past, and only after your integration, after seeing it with clarity, can you actually dismantle it from your system. And how do you do it? Putting boundaries. And I'm not talking about heated up conversations in your own mind, or just closing your life and just being harsh with others. No, but at least you know what you can do, what you cannot do, what you will accept. Like the boundary, I am only moved only when I'm already being mad. This is the thing for me. But for others, go deep into your repeated patterns, because I'm telling you, even if you go backwards in time and you remember yourself manifesting anything or even welcoming anything in your life without even calling it a manifestation, you can understand that yes, you can see yes, certain patterns were repeated. And if you do not dismantle them, if you do not see them with clarity, with actually stripping yourself from all those conditions and projections, you cannot go forth as a real you, because yeah, you will be repeating exactly the same things. No, stop it. So look at it with different lens, strip yourself from all of those unwanted patterns, and welcome a real you, unleash real you, because this is the essence of yourself. Only when you strip all those conditions. Okay? So, where were we? The nervous system lens. The nervous system does not only respond to reality, it also filters perception, interpretation, emotional meaning, and behavioral response. When the body feels unsafe, reality often feels smaller. When the body feels safe, new possibilities become easier to perceive. Survival states tend to narrow attention toward danger, uncertainty, rejection, and control. More regulated states actually create greater flexibility, openness, curiosity, connection, and emotional availability. So perhaps manifestation is not only about changing thought, but also about changing the internal state through which reality is perceived. Internal state. Everything starts with you internally, and your body will react with emotions that you might consent to, or you might consent or do not consent to, because what generates emotions? Not your mind, your body. Your mind is the projector. So this is very important. So that's why actually I like to approach this subject with a game. Just play. I usually say to myself, especially when I have a walk, okay, I want to play. Just play. Like recently, I had a fantastic mini sign. I would call it that way, mini manifestation. So as I was walking by the beach or by the corniche, whatever you call it, I was just talking to myself in my own mind and saying, I wanna have a sign, like for the universe to give me a certain sign. I wanna play. So I imagined a French bulldog, a cute one, approaching me and starts actually jumping at me. And I said it to myself, I want a French bulldog to approach and start jumping. And I knew that actually it's very rare, because bulldogs they're not that affectionate to all the strangers. And it's not also, some owners or friends of animals, human friends, they do not like really their dogs approaching others. But anyway, I imagined that. And I even saw the picture of it. And I swear to God, 10 minutes haven't passed. 10 minutes. And as I was talking over the phone, I was approached with this cute little black poodle. A poodle, miniature poodle, the medium-sized. And he started literally jumping at me. Jumping also with those cute back legs. His body language was so cute. I've never seen that before. In my city, there are not many poodles. Yes, there are huskies, there are French bulldogs, there are, the one that looks like a sausage. I do not know that. Yes, those kind of dogs. But anyways, that poodle, it was something new. I swear to God, I was so playing with that dog, and the haircut, I just played with it, and the owner of the dog was so nice. And yes, the dog was so cute. You cannot even imagine. I fell in love with that dog. The same night, I fell asleep just imagining myself with that dog, like playing with it. I even woke up the next morning and I reached for the phone. And I don't have that impulse. I don't use the phone that much. and especially as soon as I wake up. So it was new for me. I reached for the phone and I started Googling poodles. So I learned about the poodles while still being in bed. It was like for 1 hour or so. And I even checked the colors. So I picked mine and I took a screenshot and I just went off enjoying my day. And the same day, I was also playing with my inner child. Just let's play. So when I was having a walk, my body literally led me to turn to a certain shop I never go to. Maybe I've been there twice or so, but I never go to that shop. And in that shop, I saw a lady with a cart and the dog that she had exactly as per the picture of my screenshot. You cannot make this up. I approached her, I showed her the picture, I started chatting, playing with her dog, so cute. And she even was so enthusiastic as if she was trying to convince me to get that dog. She was like, he's a good boy, such a nice dog. This is a very friendly. I mean, everything was so beautifully orchestrated in the most magical sense. So this is a very nice approach to actually embody in your life. So imagine if you embody the same approach with every manifestation, like the manifestation I really care about, because wow, it will be literally magic, right? Magical life. Okay, so it was a little story I just wanted to share because the dog, I just fell in love. And by the way, the most important part, after that situation, the same day I was having contemplation and I was asking myself, why the poodle? Because like even I said to myself, French bulldog, but I remember myself wanting a French bulldog like 5 to 10 years ago. Now I don't. And now a poodle approached me, but I even thought like if I want a dog, maybe it would be the pit bull. But I never thought even of a poodle. But then I remember, hey, after the pit bull, you actually wanted a labradoodle or golden doodle, but you were approached by the poodle, and I actually fell in love with the dog. I mean, you see how everything plays out. I mean, it's beautiful. Sorry, guys, I'm rambling on I just love this little event that I had. It's not significant for some, but if you literally catch these little moments of magic, they become significant to you. So, the manifestation understanding. Many people try to change their reality through thought alone. They repeat affirmations, visualize desired outcomes, attempt to think from the end. But often, the body may still remain emotionally attached to survival, fear, uncertainty, rejection, or control. This can create even more internal pressure because the mind may be attempting to move toward possibility while the nervous system still expects a danger. This does not mean manifestation teachings are wrong, but perhaps something important has been missing from the conversation. The state of the body itself should be playful, should be, sometimes I think manifestation should be really about stripping yourself from all the conditions and resistance so that you can welcome whatever you want. Because if you already have it in your mind, don't you think it's a part of you? So our job actually is to strip ourselves from resistance towards the thing that we actually want. When thought and body disagree, a person may repeat, I am abundant, I am safe, I am chosen, but then immediately feel anxiety while checking their bank account, or fear while waiting for a message, or feel tension while imagining the future. Not because they're incapable of manifestation, but because the body may still associate reality with uncertainty, rejection, pressure, or survival. It only means that they actually were acting from rather learned states and emotional patterns that they still have sort of underneath. So this is interesting, right? Because patterns really, they are associated with the identity that you exude. Yes, and I will explain what does it mean on the next slide, because I believe it's really changing perception, how to view manifestation altogether. So let's jump on actually the next slide. The gem that I was talking about is actually on the next slide. So let's go here first. Practical recognition. How to recognize the state you are perceiving from. You might notice yourself checking repeatedly for reassurance, overanalyzing silence, forcing positive thinking, feeling urgency around outcomes, struggling to relax even after receiving good news, confusing emotional activation with intuition. And yes, I think this is also a space where many people become addicted to science. Actually, it's very important to to speculate, to talk about, because many people become dependent on the science. I do really believe that yes, we are still living in a symbolic world. This is how we relate to each other, right? But sometimes people become emotionally starving to see the signs, so it becomes their oxygen essentially. So instead of that, I would actually strip that dependency of it. The good sign is when you are in the playful mode, when you are in the non-resistant mode, you will see these little circumstances as like the ones with the dog I told you about. These will be just little games to play. It appears sometimes like a wink from the universe itself, right? Hey, and it's fun for you. It's fun. But if I were just walk before seeing the dog and I would ask the question, where is the dog? Where is the Frenchie? Is this Frenchie that will actually literally jump on me? With this Frenchie that actually will play with me? No. I don't think that I would meet the dog like that. But eventually I just let it go. I just said it would be nice to play with the dog. And actually there was even, sorry Frenchie bulldog lovers, but I mean that dog is even better to my emotional stance in terms of it. I love every single animal equally, beautifully. I love even spiders, and I mean it. But I'm talking about the dog that actually gave me such a joy, and I will never forget it. Because I mean, wow! And even the next day, I mean, those circumstances were beautiful. So this is in terms of the game and approach, gameful approach. But also when person becomes embodied within whatever manifestation image they have within themselves, a sign can also become a reflection, a boundary, newly established boundary, quiet confirmation. Because, for example, let me give you another example. A person is trying to manifest anything, and they are dependent on the projection of others, on the way others view them, or, for example, even the messages were not replied. So sometimes they would say, ignore the reality. Just imagine that the message was sent back to you. I wouldn't rush to do that, especially if your nervous system gives you signals. It's better not override it. Why? Because sometimes if you go deeper actually in that situation, you understand perhaps this is what pushes you to establish a boundary. Self-respect, integrity. Maybe your body says, hey, I mean, how long can we tolerate ignoring reality? How long can we tolerate someone's dismissing us, someone's ignoring us? It's actually the steps that allow you to establish a boundary. Say no more. Integration. You do not override reality. It's actually an information about them. It's not information about you. So their behavior, or the lack of it actually, brings you to your inner knowing what you should do, like establishing boundary. Okay, this is very important, you guys, because many people try to say, ignore the reality. No, you do not ignore the reality, because sometimes if you keep ignoring the reality, the same patterns, they are actually appeared in that reality that you are ignoring deliberately by your mind, but they are appearing for your body to say no more. So this is very interesting. Again, signs can also be playful, and also they can be as simple as make a call, change a job, quit your job, leave a partner that never met you, speak differently, act differently, see things differently, participate in the world, in your world differently. It doesn't come from mind only, it comes with your bodily acceptance. Okay, so next, signs, self-trust, and internal coherence. This is the one. Signs may accompany alignment with, but they should not replace embodiment, discernment, or self-trust. The more internally coherent we become, the less dependent we may feel or on constant external confirmation. Because when a state begins feeling natural within the body, we no longer need reality to repeatedly reassure us of who we are. This does not mean reality stops feeling symbolic, meaningful, or responsive, but the relationship with science may begin to change. A less obsessive decoding, more grounded participation. And about decoding, this is very interesting. Do you know that your life force is literally leaked away if you keep decoding every single message, every single look, every single sign? You direct your life force energy outward instead of keeping it inward. Remember, you guys, when you manifest something, things come to you, opportunities come to you. You do not exert effort seeking for it, seeking for the signs. Give me just little crumbs of confirmation. You do not do that. If you act integrally, integral people will be aligned with you. If you really want that job, the money, whatever you want, it will be aligned with you. It doesn't mean don't take action. You take action when the door appears, but you do not look searching for the door, because the limited mind that actually feels yearning cannot find the door. Door comes to you. Okay, so perhaps reality is not only something we observe, but something we continuously participate with through attention, perception, emotional state, and embodied identity. The difference between embodiment and performance. Many people try to manifest by creating a new identity without realizing the previous identity may have already been built through fear, conditioning, emotional survival, suppression, adaptation, or even borrowed expectation. Pay attention, you hear, guys, because this is the golden slide. This is what I meant. This is the one, and you will understand why. Sometimes manifestations itself can become another mask. Another performance, another attempt to forcefully become someone else instead of understanding yourself more deeply. Perhaps embodiment is not about becoming someone new, but rather about removing distortion until your internal state becomes more coherent. A regulated nervous system may not experience less depth, but less distortion. Okay, this is what I meant. This is the golden nugget. Why do I call it that way? Let me explain. I see a lot the people, when they try to manifest, they refer themselves to either the person they want to be, so they have a certain picture of an already lived person, like here, or they just imagine themselves and they try to act as that person. But the very idea that they have to understand that most people, if they do not know who they are, and which is I think 99% of people, they're conditioned, they're projected to. They do not even know which dreams are theirs. Sometimes it's even borrowed dreams. That's why it's very important to understand that you are your identity that you call, it's not real you. It's not the God's essence that's within you. You have to strip yourself from all those projections, all those distortions, all those social, whatever you call dogmas, right? Whatever was projected on you, how to behave, how to talk, how to react, how to walk, how to do anything, how to think. You see, it's not you. If you call yourself a version of yourself, an identity, this is mostly projections that you have accepted at a certain point of time. Because were you a real self, you would not even ask a question, whom shall I become? Because you do not become someone else. You unleash yourself. You do not switch one mask with another. You do not swap it. You do not. It doesn't make sense actually to play those roles, because when you unleash, when you uncover that God's particle, that little essence of all isness, of the creative infinite, yes, it's within all of us. But our work in this realm is to strip ourselves from all those conditionings. I do not talk about rebelling here. It's not rebel. It's not going against society and norms. No, we still need to be human. But ask yourself a question. Whatever you want to say, do you say it just because you want it? Are you managing perception, or are you actually expressing yourself? Ask yourself this question. Also, very important question to ask. Not rather question, but rather theme to understand. Dig deeper in every single dream that you have. Check the architecture behind every single dream. You might be surprised that your dreams are not even your dreams. They're just because the neighbor has it, or just because the society has it, just because I saw it on the TV and it looked so beautiful. No, it's not even your dream. So that's why it's important to understand the architecture behind every expression of yours. It's very important because many people, they try to manifest themselves, new versions of themselves, and they just perform. They don't live, they perform. This is important to understand, please. I understand the subject, it might be a bit triggerable for many people. Hey, I'm not here to say that my way is the only way of understanding that. I'm still learning, like you guys. I'm just having this information, presenting it to you. I'm actually very open to discussions, to any questions. I would actually be happy to have that because I understand that we learn from each other. There is not such a thing as understanding everything all by yourself, and there is no, what I know, there is no such a thing as one size that fits all in the manifestation. There is no one technique, not one way. Every person is individually expressed. So I would love, genuinely love hearing your experience, your thoughts, and because I don't think that we discover this subject alone. Alone, like we cannot figure this all out. We do it together. We are exploring this subject together. So I would love to actually help you also see this from this perspective. I hope it helped you. Perhaps you could see, yes, I resonate with it. And it's already good. It's very good, actually. So let's think on it. And maybe the question is not how do I force reality to change what, rather, from what state am I related to reality in the first place? Maybe manifestation was never only about controlling reality, guys. Maybe part of it is learning how to relate to reality, our real selves, and embodiment more consciously. And perhaps this is actually what manifestation is. Very important. So I hope you liked it. Any questions, anything you want to add, or even ask, or even discuss, or say, or dispute, please, you're welcome. I'm excited to read comments from you because we grow together, and it will be nice to collaborate, co-create, and explore it. Have a nice day or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next one.